Okay, so motion to accept. Councillor Salt, Councillor Bullock, all in favor? Moving on. Okay, and then we're going to slam right into correspondence for action. So what I've got here, item 6.1 is Columbia Basin Trust meeting minutes. We'll call it the Community Initiatives minutes. I think more accurately described that. So that council review and approve 12 separate resolutions. And I'm just going to take a moment to get, and that is on page 9. Okay, you guys are getting a full meal deal tonight, I tell you. So, here we go. So, Brayden, you go through these that are listed on the agenda, starting on
starts at
resolution
008.
CBT 008-13. So, the recommendation, I'm going to find a nice way of saying this. That's shorter than what's printed here because there's a lot of words on this page. That council approve the Canoe Mountain Rodeo Association application for $18,336.35 for washroom improvements, pending proof of ownership of the washrooms by the Canoe Mountain Rodeo Association. Councillor Salt, Councillor Blanchett. All in favor? That council approve the Robson Valley Spay and Neuter Society application for $5,000 of community initiatives funds for the Canine Spay and Neuter Initiative.
I'll make a motion.
Blanchett, Councillor Bullock. All in favor? Okay, it was moved, seconded, and does Zach have this up on? I don't see anybody looking at their screen. Are you able to have this page up on?
That's there.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
For the working bill, it will be in as full. So if there's any clauses or any distributing agencies, even if you don't read it,
Okay.
the approval will be in.
Well, I'll just read it from now. So for the previous one, just so everybody's aware, that the sponsor, the Spay and Neuter Society, $5,000 will be distributed through the sponsoring organization, which is actually the Valemount Arts and Cultural Society. It's just easy if I say that. Okay, that the Village of Valemount Council approve the Royal Canadian Legion application for $14,419 of community initiatives for appliance replacement and upgrading.
Yeah.
And just a procedural note.
Oh, that's after.
Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you. Councillor Salt, Councillor Blanchett. All in favor? Okay. Oh, okay, yeah, good.
So,
That's why
I'm
we're
stepping
doing them
out,
individually.
just for perceived conflict for the Valemount Chamber of Commerce, as I'm councillor appointed to the chamber, so.
Excellent, thank you. I'm going to repeat that because my voice is much louder. As Councillor Salt sits on the chamber, the idea is when we pass this, she shouldn't influence that thing, so that's why perceived conflict of interest is the reason she's leaving the room. So the recommendation, and I'll just point out that a number of the people in the committee had conflicts of interest. They declared so and were not part of the discussion that gave us this this decision. So that council approved the Valemount and Area Chamber of Commerce application for $8,000 of community initiative funding for the World Host Training, up to 100 people at $80 per person, and for $500 of CBT community initiative funding for related administrative expenses.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Councillor Blanchett, Councillor Bullock, and all in favor. To make sure we get that. Okay, so we'll bring back our councillor. Don't worry, she's right by the door. She's got her ear to it. This is a great meeting to have everybody here because it's like, it looks like we do all this work. Really, it's just staff. We don't normally have to deal with it. Okay. So, That's not true. We work hard. Thank you, Councillor Salt. That the CBT committee, that council approve the Valemount Area Recreation Development Association application for $45,000 of community initiative funding for Crystal Ridge construction. Why does it say continue or continue?
It says continued because they started construction last year. Okay. And so the project's ongoing.
I see. Chet, Councillor Bullock, all in favor? Okay. That the council approved the Valemount Arts and Cultural Society application for $21,185.82 of community initiative funding for the acquisition of LED performance quality lighting if BC Creative Spaces funding is unsuccessful, or if this other funding application that they're going for is successful, then $10,850 of community initiatives funding for the acquisition of LED performance quality lighting if BC Creative Spaces funding is successful. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt, all in favor? Okay. That's good. And do I need to get into that? No, it's not for here. Okay, so that council approved the Valemount Gun Club application for $6,117.22 of community initiative funding for a shooting shed. Okay. I think I'm going to leave off the cents and just fund that amount myself, so I don't have to read it. Okay. That council declined the Valemount Secondary School Parent Advisory Council application for $27,500 of CIP for a community mural that was declined for the following reasons: lack of community support, lack of employment of local artists, lack of PAC presence at the public input meeting, concern regarding the location and whether people can see it during the summer holidays. Just a note to the public is the way it's been done is that the Community Initiatives Committee has met and discussed this, and now it's coming to council for approval. So those are the reasons that the CBT committee has recommended that we decline it. And I think to date, unless there's something glaring that they haven't caught, which we have an obligation to catch, we've been going with their recommendations. So do I see a motion to decline then? Councillor Bullock, Councillor Blanchette, all in favor? Great. And you can see how we would not want to appear to be doing this, right? We'll put the blame on somebody else. Okay. That council approved the Valemount Volunteer Fire Rescue Department application for $2,500 of community initiative money for a Valemount Community Halloween fireworks display. And this funding will be distributed through the sponsoring organization, which is actually the Valemount Area Recreation Development Association. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Bullock, all in favor? Okay. Okay.
Your Worship.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. The selection committee had asked that the wording of the next resolution be amended. It had been submitted on the agenda before this final wording came in.
Sure.
So,
if you want to take care of it,
okay.
Let's do it.
So they've asked that it be wording that Village of Valemount approve the Valemount Youth Empowerment Society receive startup seed funding from CBT Community Initiatives funding to match any funding they receive from their own fundraising efforts to a maximum of $2,500.
Okay. Okay, and that's the will of the committee?
That's
what we've been
asked.
honoring. So that's Councillor Bullock, Councillor Salt, all in favor? Okay. So did everybody hear that? Is it loud? It's good. Okay. Seems like it was. So that council approved the Yellowhead Outdoor Recreation Association application for $5,000 of CBT CIP funding for Swift Creek Bridge Engineering Administration. Blanchette, Councillor Bullock, all in favor? Great. Okay. And that,
Last one.
this is the last one. That council approve the Yellowhead Outdoor Recreation Association application for $35,000 of community initiative funding for 5 Mile Road improvement and recreational infrastructure upgrades. Councillor Bullock, Councillor Blanchette, all in favor? Okay, and that's all of them. And I'll just briefly say,
Thank the committee.
thanks to the
It's a lot of
committee.
work.
We'll be having a wrap-up meeting and really, thank you.
So this, if, as you see in the agenda, this sort of process is evolving. I think it's staying true to the heart of how it's been done, but it's just a little bit more transparent. So if you go through and you want to see the breakdown in the agenda, it's fabulous.
I'd also like to thank staff for all their hard work in working with the committee. They've really put a lot of effort into really nailing down some great procedures this year, and we've gotten some very positive feedback from the public as well. So great, thank you very much for all your work.
Yeah, it was quite different, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, and of course, here's the thing for both the successful applicants and the non-successful applicants. Thank you for doing what you do and making our community a better place. We appreciate it. Okay, so we've got 3 items next up.
Reading file.
So just the reading file. Anything that folks wanted to bring up from the reading file? Okay, Councillor Song.
In Minister Vaughn's report, there was news about Valemount being one of the 14 resort communities that will be a part of some additional government investing of $75,000 in a 5-month project to expand the resort community workforce, which I thought was kind of nice that we were maybe benefit a little bit along with the other resort communities for some initiative there on the resort community.
Sure.
Analysis.
The labor market analysis. Yeah, excellent. That's great. Okay, other items? If not, we'll swiftly move along. If not, just put up your hand and wave wildly. So motion to accept the reading file. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt, all in favor? Okay. Oh, we're moving along. Yeah, we're off page 1. Don't worry, it's going to go so fast now.
Just if I could make a quick point to the audience.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Just for VCTV's sake, could I just ask that the audience refrain from talking? Because I know that the microphones will pick up the background noise, and Gord is doing a great job there trying to get some footage for those at home. So sorry to be a nitpicker, but I know Gord would want some good quality audio.
Wow, that's harsh, man.
I know.
Okay, so moving on to Development Variance Permit, DVP 0113. So, so 0113, I'll have staff set this up for us, because it's not evident here, what this is for. This is to do with the Newsline?
That's correct. This public hearing was heard at the February 26th council meeting, but a resolution was not sought at that time, and this is simply a resolution to complete that process.
Okay, fair. So this is about the roof overhang within lot setbacks. Councillor Bullock?
I'll make a motion to council approve development variance permit DVP 01-13.
Okay, excellent.
Second.
Okay, and all in favor? Okay, now moving on to 8.2, Development Variance Permit DVP 0213. There's a staff recommendation here. I got a phone call before the meeting that said it felt like it was insulting, so I'll read it out at my own peril. That council defer consideration of the Development Variance Permit 0213 until Library Expansion Committee has considered all options, conducted a thorough and thoughtful review of the options, measured this proposal through the lens of the official community plan, the wildfire plan, the integrated sustainability plan, the carbon emissions, what does SEEP stand for?
Community energy and emissions plan.
The community energy and emissions plan and other best practice documents that the village has committed to ensure that best practice is being followed. And I guess I see that as a reflection not on criticizing the library board, but rather on saying, as a business, as a building owner, here are the things that we've committed to, so how does this fit? At any rate, I leave it to council.
So the motion that's on the table right now is, I oppose that, and I think we need to reword a new one.
Okay, what is your rewording?
Well, I think that, I mean, we have due diligence, we have to fix our own building problems, and I don't think that all this other work needs to be done in lieu of getting something complete that has to be completed anyways.
Okay, let's just stick to the development variance. So
I
that's
think we
basically a
need
yes
to-
or no?
I think we need to put the variance through.
Okay.
I second that. I
Councillor
second
Song?
approving the development variance permit.
Okay, so it's on the table. There's an opportunity to have a discussion about that if you know, further.
Yeah, I'd like to just comment on the fact that to defer this will stop the library from finishing their plans. I think the library kind of encompasses our mission and vision statement to serve the community and embrace opportunity and striving for a vibrant and balanced community. So in order for them to have ownership for their plans moving forward, I don't feel that this is a roadblock that needs to be in the way. Now, this also isn't the end-all be-all for this project. I do have a couple of concerns with it though. When does the community involvement start to happen to see what is the support of the community for the expansion and how many people in the community support the expansion. The building is going to be 4 times the size of the existing building, and I wonder where the books are going to come to fill that space and best use of that space. Also the ongoing operational costs and the maintenance of that building once it's built. So basically, you know, a loose or a rigid business plan of what it's going to look like once it's finished. But I agree with Councillor Blanchette in recommending that the variance permit proceed.
I'm just going to speak on this too, and I think we're kind of doing we're in a community, as somebody pointed out to me earlier today, so even though we're on the issue of the development variance permit, and I think we know where we're headed with that, I'm going to speak to this issue of library expansion as well. And I'm not sure it's been really well handled by me, and I don't mean to ostracize the board or make them feel put to the side or whatever. But when I think of where we are economically in 2013, and I think about the projects that this council is going to take on over the next year, next 2 years, next 3 years, I honestly say we've got a little bit of a different scope than the library board in terms of what our considerations are. I see a community where families continue to move away. And so I would argue, and this is not really a good time and place, and even the library board is here and they can't argue back, so it's pretty bad form to say this. But I would argue that we need to be really careful about what projects we take on right now, because it's important. It's $1 million project. And I want to say a couple things, is that I am really committed to the buildings that we build into the future being super smart and not wasting fuel. And I don't want to see considerations of buildings saying, you know what, we thought about green stuff, but it was hard, so we didn't really take it into consideration. I would really like to see the buildings we build from now on have low operating costs. It just makes sense. Or you pay for that propane every year in. I would really like to not see another building built in this community that goes on propane. I mean, I'm committed to that idea. I want to work with the library. I know that they're a fantastic group and they're a dedicated board. But as council, we have this kind of weird thing here where we own that building, right? I mean, be it what it is, we own it. And so we have certain responsibilities under the community energy and emissions plan as well. I mean, all sorts of things. We got to think about what's going forward. The idea is we're making a massive investment in a library, but we're building onto a building that is 20 years old already. So what is the best way forward? And I think we got to ask that. Clear, saying, what do we do from now? And what is that going to look like in the future? But I want to turn that back over to the other councillors for comment.
I was going to say, we aren't debating the expansion right now.
Yeah.
We're debating the development variance permit.
Okay.
And if we as a village are going to expect other citizens to be within compliance of variances and zoning setbacks, then for crying out loud, we need to make sure our own buildings are in compliance or get variances. And when we find out that after this had been surveyed, that our own building, not only just the library building, but the museum was out of compliance, we have to do our own due diligence here.
Absolutely.
So right now, I'm just looking at it as, let's fix this. And let's carry on with the rest of the due diligence process for the actual construction of the building. This is just going to allow the library board, building committee to carry on with their engineers to get those actual design to build drawings done. And then it'll go through the public processes. Right now, this is our land and these are our buildings and we're out of compliance, and yet we expect other people to be compliant.
Well, let's get in compliance.
So let's fix it.
Okay?
I agree.
We got the motion on the floor. The vote. Remember the vote. All in favor? Great. Okay. Excellent. I will be outside after the meeting, if anybody wants. I'm in the brown car. Okay. Very good. It's got the snowmobile in the back. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, next up, our integrated community sustainability plan. There's a staff recommendation here. There's lots more fun to come, folks. That council review and adopt the integrated community sustainability plan and direct staff to review the appendices of the ICSP as part of the broader ICSP implementation framework. But I just want to get in here early. I suggest that we don't do this. I was just going through the document and I'm afraid I haven't had a great deal of time to send it through. I think the committee's done great work. There's a couple like typos, like it says like when we built our water tower in 1970. To my knowledge, we don't have a water tower. There's just a few things, they're not major, they're just little things that I want to polish. I'd like to polish. And one of those things that needs polishing, I think, is a little bit, I hate to say it, but just the format of the thing, like there's lots of, like, there seems like there's like 7 introductions to the whole idea. And to me, we spent a ton of money on this plan. This plan is supposed to be the thing as you open it up and you get a sense of how we go forward in Valemount. And I'd like it to be a little bit more like that. That's my motion.
It's a big motion. To defer? Is that your motion?
Would defer be the right to provide?
Defer and direct staff to develop a process for amending.
Ooh, okay. So to defer and, wow, oh
They
yeah.
got time to do all this?
I'm going to turn that over to the CAO. I
Good point.
apologize.
Good point.
This might be a big undertaking, like, you know, there's a lot on their plate.
We spoke about, you're right, you're absolutely right. It's like, where do we, the problem is the ICSP is kind of like the high level thing, the high level plan for the whole thing. So we want to make sure that it's good. We don't have tons of staff time hanging around, so what's
We gave
the
a lot
balance?
already.
Can we deter, in the meantime, defer it to staff to take a look and see what's a good compromise? Do you know what I'm saying? So they can say, okay, what's the time that we have available onto this versus what the product is going to be, rather than just arbitrarily say, you know, staff spend this much time on it. But we say, we'll turn it to them, have them, give them a chance to consider it, what can be, you know, improved effectively, and then they can come back to us with that.
What about if you go through it and make a few points and see how many points are there, and if there's a couple, then, but if you end up with a big list, then we're going to know how long it's going to take.
I think that's a great plan. Can you write down what she said?
The mayor will look over this document and see what exactly the issues are,
Sure.
and then he will get back to staff.
That's a motion on the floor.
Yeah, second that.
Second that? Councilor Bullock? All in favor? Yes.
Nice work.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so moving down to bylaws and policies. So we're working on the 4th reading here of the 4th and final reading of release from reserve land, bylaw number 689, 2013. And I'll just turn to the right page. Page 67 is where I'm getting there. I'm missing my. Sorry, I've got to go right past the ice.
Page 71.
Page 71.
Why are you on paper?
Why am I on paper?
Yeah.
Because when it's really important, I want paper in front of me. Okay. Okay, so we're looking for third and fourth readings. Really? Third and fourth? For
Fourth and final.
fourth and final. Am I on the right one?
No, you are, based on Councillor Salt's comment and your comment, we had a number of technical glitches in the office last week with the internet going down, and as a result, a couple things weren't able to be incorporated into the agenda by the time it needed to go public, page numbers being one, the updating of this particular briefing note to be the second.
Okay.
So this is fourth and final.
Fourth and final reading is what we're considering right here. And this is something that's been before us before. The idea is to allow the secondary school to establish a school garden on land that we're holding in, that we've designated school use in the future. I should get the wording on that right. I shouldn't be allowed to speak, basically. Okay. That council approved fourth and final reading of release from reserve land bylaw 689.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Councillor Blanchett, Councillor Salt. All in favor? Okay. Do you think they're going to be waiting for me outside there? Okay. Bylaw 689. No, sorry, that's the one we just did.
Good job with the 4.3. This one's been...
That one's been taken out. So we're moving on to 4.3, which is page 90.
It's not being printed version, only on Dropbox.
Okay, all right, well that helps. So, we've been through the public hearing on the microbrewery, zoning bylaw amendment 692.
When are we doing 691?
691 doesn't make it tonight.
Okay.
That was the amendment earlier.
Yeah, we just amended that just before we went in. Apologies for that. So we're on page 90 of the agenda. So the staff recommendation is to approve third reading of zoning amendment bylaw 692, 2013, microbrewery. Councillor Bullock, Councillor Salt. Anybody want to speak to this?
I look forward to seeing a microbrewery on Fifth Ave.
I don't want to see it as much as I want to taste it.
I have one question. The lounge, is that approved by the liquor board or by council? They had mentioned it.
Can I speak to that?
Yes.
That's a great question, and it's actually, and Michael Lewis is in the audience, and he'll have more details than I will, but I think I've got the gist of it. And the final approval for a lounge and/or patio comes through a liquor control and licensing branch endorsement, but they refer that to council for review prior to their final approval. And things that will come to council would be occupancy, so the number of seats and things like that.
Okay.
So we're waiting to see the details on that, but that's a secondary process from the initial liquor license that must be first achieved to do the brewing.
Okay. Okay, so we've got a motion on the floor. Let's vote. All in favor? Okay, there you go. I know all those non-beer drinking people, the temperance people are going to be really upset with that. We'll do it anyway. Moving on to 14.4, zoning bylaw amendment 693, 2013, home occupation, third reading. So there's an opportunity here to approve the third reading of this zoning amendment bylaw, or to not.
I have a question.
Can we put the motion on the floor first and then?
Okay.
I'll make a motion to recommend that council approve third reading of bylaw number 693, 2013, which removes home occupation restrictions based on type.
Okay, and we'll get a seconder. Councillor Salt? Okay, so we can discuss it.
I just have a concern that, are we going to limit the licenses for same-like businesses? Or is it every man for himself? I'm concerned that if we have a business in town and then we have another person that's having a home business and 17 other people have that business at home as well, our business in town is stripped away and all of a sudden we have nothing in town. So I'm just worried about how many licenses are going to be handed out. Have we thought about restricting those?
Well, we can bring that to staff, but I think, yeah, I'm gonna jump in there because I don't think it's strictly a staff. Okay, so I'll speak to this with a story. Back in 2001 or 2002, I was like, living in Valemount, I was unemployed, and I was like, I want to start a newspaper. I'm going to look into the rules around starting a newspaper, like how do you do that? Who do you got to call? What's the governing body, etc., all that stuff, that one, just as being a business guy saying, I'm going to start up a newspaper now, what do you do? And so I kind of like looked around for that, and there wasn't anything. There wasn't anything. There's nothing, I mean, there were some helpful agencies that were there, but there's no rules around starting up a newspaper. Anybody can start one up whenever they want. They can just do it. Until they get their pantsuit off, they're golden. That's kind of, I would want to say, maybe this is editorial, but that's sort of like the basis of what we do in the free market, I guess.
Can I build on that? I think your point might be coming from an issue that went to council not too long ago. And there are very limited instances where, that's just my understanding, and I'm not an expert on this at all, where council can issue licenses on businesses. One is the number of taxis that operate within a municipality, and the second is on businesses that operate on village land, so on public land. And in those two instances, we could consider what it would mean to be a licensee if we wanted to go down that administrative route. But for things like this, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah. So yeah, anyways, I'm sorry, my story is only limited utility, but it's just just sort of like my experience, but I'm not sure that really speaks to your question.
So the only other question I have too is how are we going to ensure that all these home-based businesses are licensed?
If I could get onto that one, I think the thing is that we're looking at the way the bylaw is set up now. And the idea is that scale is something that you can respond to. The idea is to say, you know what, my neighbor has a business and they've got cars out there constantly. So it's kind of like something that you can say, whereas this type thing is really weird. Like right now, we're in the wind with that. If you run an acupuncture clinic, I guess the idea is it helps us, like it doesn't pretend that we can police stuff that we can't. And I think it speaks to what we're all concerned about when you have businesses well, some of the things that we're worried about is that what is the impact to your neighbor, when you do these things. So that's where the scale seems to make sense.
Can I jump in from what that operational
No,
side?
I don't want you to jump in. Okay. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. Braden has spent a lot of, Deputy Corporate Officer Hutchins has spent a lot of time on this. I thank you.
So you raise a great point on what to do about other businesses that don't have a business license, and they should. All I can say for now, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but in the 2012 to 14 strategic plan or brainstorming exercise that we did, we identified the business license bylaw as a bylaw that would need to be updated. And I think that is still identified as a priority going forward. Timelines for that to be determined. And when we look at that bylaw, that would be a great time to think about how we think about enforcement of that.
I think our bylaw enforcement strategy is the most relevant piece here in this because it simply relates to how many resources we allocate to bylaw enforcement. Right now what we do is we look at businesses that have taken out a license the prior year and we send out notices to those businesses, and we also keep our eyes open. But it's a pretty informal process, and the more resources we're able to allocate to bylaw enforcement, the better job we can do of that.
Okay, I just want it to be fair.
And the current thing is a little strange. Either you fall into a certain category, or I really sincerely hope that we're laying the foundation for a more fair system. That you know, based on the impacts that you see, the signs, the traffic, the impact, is that is what regulates, you know? That is what has an influence. This is a big issue for us. And it's not, I think, made any clearer that we've just gone through, since this bylaw was enacted, what I would call catastrophic economic change, right? Like, it's not the same, we're not the same community that we were in '98. We're kind of a new experimental town where you don't really have that many businesses on Fifth Avenue and you don't have a mill driving the economy. One has a tendency to want to protect those businesses that have made long-term investments, that have put so much into this community, you know, whether it's been through a lifetime or whether it's just recently saying, hey, I'm going to pony up and I'm going to go onto Main Street or Fifth Avenue and make a thing of it. But I guess the thing is, we don't, unfortunately, in Canada, like, sort of create a monopoly in that way. And as a village, our job is clear: is try to make it so that people can live here. You know.
Would Councillor Blanchett prefer that we defer third reading till the next council meeting when we have all the council present, and also to allow staff maybe time to report back more thoroughly on some concerns?
If I could. There's been a lot of gnashing in teeth and pulling of information, benchmarking with other communities. I hope that we can make a decision here tonight, because I mean it's an unfortunate thing where we're going to walk. It's a test of us as council in a big way. We're going to walk away and make some people unhappy and change and possibly change things.
We're only doing third reading. It's still not adopted.
Mm-hmm.
It could
That's
still
true.
be defeated.
That's true.
Until it goes to fourth and final, it's still not adopted.
Okay.
So,
Fair enough.
I just want to make sure that we're on those marks, that we're paying attention, and you know, those are important things that we have to make sure we keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, this particular amendment doesn't really speak to enforcement. The enforcement process is addressed through different mechanisms.
As long as we've got that somewhere in the hopper, you know, that we're going to be working on.
And I think it really brings into relief that we need to make sure that that component is there. And I've always thought about it in terms of like the cost side, the man-hour side, whatever, but then you're talking, for people that are honest and go to get a business license, those are the people that are going to take it every time. Right? And that's not right. So we need to get better at enforcing the bylaws that we do have, especially when they're fair and good. Okay, so should we, the motion is on the floor, let's take a vote. All in favor? Okay. It's a tough job, eh?
Just need to clarify, the motion on the floor was to approve as per Councillor Bullock's initial.
Yes, that's right, that was the motion on the floor.
Okay, great.
Okay. Item 15, council reports. Beginning with?
I didn't do very much, actually. March 13th, I had the Bigfoot Trail meeting, and we ordered benches, bullards, garbage cans. We're trying to get the rest of the stuff on that trail so it's done for the summer. The 14th, I went to the CBT public meeting. Really, really great. Lots of good, as we saw, community support. The 21st, I had a geocaching meeting. We're just narrowing down the date, ordering all of our bling, setting up for Summerfest. That's all I did. Oh, that's all I did.
Okay.
That's it.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor Walton.
I have nothing to report.
Okay.
Except for a great farm conference, but that does not have anything to do with council.
Good.
I attended the CBT public presentations as well, and then the selection committee meeting to evaluate all the proposals and make the recommendations to council. And then I also had a Valemount Area Chamber of Commerce Board meeting, and we discussed the success of our first business after business, and we'll have planning undergoing and continuing for future business after businesses. we've got, I guess, apparently some businesses already volunteering, wanting to hold the next one, and in the summertime and do an outdoor lake barbecue. So if you're a business owner and want to get involved, just keep in touch with the chamber, and just some other upcoming events as well with the chamber. So we'll just keep continuing to post the public comment of what is happening there. And that was it for me too, not terribly busy.
That's great. I'll just sort of report out very briefly. I went to the regional district meeting here on Thursday last, and one of the committee meetings we had in advance of that meeting was the committee on electronic attendance. And Valemount is a long way from Prince George. I'm not sure if anybody's noticed that. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm not saying secession or anything. I'm just saying it is a long way, and I've been thinking about that. And anyways, we're considering possibly allowing electronic attendance at meetings, which I'm in favor of, especially when the roads are bad. But it's interesting trying to get that through and have a conversation with people saying, no, you really don't understand how far it is. It's far. It's like it's more than a day every time of going to those meetings, and often life jeopardizing road conditions in the wintertime. So, I met, sorry?
You're not driving your sled?
Not driving my snowmobile, no. Although sometimes I take it. No. I met the NDP MLA candidate, Shirley Ogasawara, and in an effort to be nonpartisan, she showed up and we did an hour-and-a-half tour. I asked her to do a tour, and it's sometimes difficult being the mayor, because you have your personal political stuff, and then you've got, being connected. You need to be connected to other layers of government. So my strategy this time was just to not let her speak at all, or campaign, or do anything like that, and just tell her nonstop for an hour-and-a-half the history of Valemount with regards to the treaty, the unfortunate decision around BC timber sales, our current forestry rows, the whole history. I took her on a tour. I showed her all the empty buildings on 5th Avenue, shared some coffee with her at the Swiss Bakery, and yeah, just generally tried to fill her in, which I think is kind of the salient point, right? They should know where we're at. Anyways, I think it was good. I'm really happy with the CBT initiatives. I love to see how that's taking shape, and I think there's some other big things we're gonna do there. Like get a terms of reference for the group that weighs in on that, and I think but things are really shaping up, and it's wonderful, and it's always great to see what great work public groups do for our community. So thank you. The library too. Okay. So motion to receive our reports? Okay. We've got a motion and a sense right there. Okay. We've got a list of previous council resolutions. Yeah. Should I make a comment? Yeah. No. Just move on. There's a calendar of events, what's coming up in March and April. And, oh no, I forgot about this. Public comment. You get a second crack at it. Okay, briefly, I think most of you know the intent of this is that we'll receive questions or comments and based on stuff that happened in the agenda. And we want to limit you to 2 minutes. You should stand up, same as in the public hearing, say what your name is and where you live, whether it's in the village or not. And did I miss something?
Are you going to accept some of these? Will you go ahead?
I don't think we need to. We did?
We in the past, we're experimenting with the new format, and we haven't been consistent with that. And in the past, we haven't had resolutions on these two before we moved to the new format of the agenda. So it's a procedural thing that we haven't nailed down.
Okay, well, let's, in deference to the CAO who controls everything, motion to receive, but to defy her, we'll do them both at the same time. Receive council resolutions on the calendar of events. Councillor Salt, Councillor Bullock, all in favor? Those items are received. See how I did that? Okay, and so And the top, there's a big list here, but I'm sure you'll do fine. Public comments, if you have something to say to council that you think council should hear, we're on TV, so flail away. Okay. Donalda? She's the old safety. That's unfair.
We can talk now?
Yes, I just.
Go there?
Yeah, please.
I wasn't sure.
That gives you a second just to burn off the steam as you cross the room, and then we'll see what happens.
Oh, no, we're good. I'd like to thank you for passing that variance on the library. It just means we can use the money that we've spent already, and get the plans. It doesn't mean that we're not going to talk to the village about what we're going to put there, or how we're going to do it, or what we're going to use, and we will carry on talking to the village and the public about what we're doing. And we don't use propane. We burn on electric the whole time.
That was way nicer than I thought it was going to be. Okay, excellent. There's a firefighter taking off. Okay. All right, second call for public comments. Here we go.
My name's Tom Jamin. One question referring to the small businesses and business opportunities in Valemount, and as somebody trying to make a living in this town, listening to you in your concern for enforcing business licenses, for collecting and such things, has council ever considered waiving the fees, or at least for the first year, or maybe 2 years or 5 years, for business licenses to encourage businesses in this town?
We're not supposed to fight with him, right? Thank you for your comment. That's cool. Okay. If there's no other comments, I see Mr. Fellmark's making a decision whether.
Yeah, I was I had to get over it.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Okay.
3 times isn't enough.
Peter Fellmark, 12 on Main Street. I just want to make a comment to Brandon there. He checked up different towns with those regulations, what other people do in town. You should check Cambridge and talk to Peter. He's the mayor. What regulations they have down there, because they have, what is doctor, nurses, whatever, almost, they have any kind of license in houses down there. Just check up on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great. Okay, without belaboring the point and looking for, thank you all for coming out tonight. So let's move to receive the public comments. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Bullock, all in favor of receipt. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for being so kind to us. Just before I close, because we're going to proceed to in camera for a couple items. But I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank you for keeping the discussion civil. I think one of the issues that comes up, and I wish we could convince you of this, of everybody in this, is that we try and support these people that are trying to make a life here. We do. And some of the things that we might do might look like we're walking backwards. But I hope if we zoom out, we've done the due diligence, we've had the conversations, we've done the listening and tried to make good policy. But the other piece of that is we appreciate you coming here and telling us your opinions. It's not easy to do that. Thank you for doing that. Okay. So with that, I'll take a motion to proceed in camera with section 91 of the community charter. This section of the meeting will be held in camera to consider one item, 1K municipal service. Councillor Salt, Councillor Bullock, all in favor? Okay.
Thank you everyone for coming.
you.